So hello everyone, I'm Mondon here, welcome to my review of Ballroom episode 10. I found it a really good episode, as again this anime, for me truly is the best anime this season. Every episode is at least 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. It's not a really good episode. The Mako was super cute, like ridiculously cute, and I like the whole intrigue. Not only was he obviously super cheap and cute, as again, I say it again because it's emphasized how ridiculous she is, but she was the one who got Gaju into dancing. Right? She was the one who was like, Onishan, please come with me. And of course, Gaju, while being an abusive Onishan to her now they're older, he still really loves his deep down, right? And that's why one of the things I like about Youkoso, as we saw previously when he was fighting his sister, he kind of felt that, okay, he's really kind of mean to her, like definitely, but it feels like he's tough love. A little too much tough, but it feels like he's mean to her because he wants her to be better, right? He wants to push her, and he's frustrated. So I like that. Already a few episodes back, it kind of felt that very typical anime manga, very typical good Japanese storytelling, because this is a very keen Japanese, right? Much more than other media or cultures, I guess is better for it. Is that they love doing that, right? Like the character is much more gray zone. So I felt that right away earlier. It's like, he loves his sister, but he's bad at showing it. And no, he's frustrated though. So I think it was really good there in the backstory when we saw that other characters were commenting and telling him that, your sister is kind of holding you back. It's like, you're really talented, you're a genius. And like the thing was even Tempe was like, you're a great kid. You're a great kid, you're good at every sport. I'm happy you picked to dancing. And it's like, I'm the best. And everyone else is like, your sister is holding you back. And then we see Oba-chan flirting with him. He's like, you wanna change up to a better lady? And so on, good kind of thing, right? And of course, that kind of knees onto him, right? It chips him down from carrying away his sister. And of course, he's frustrated because she never really wants to do anything, really. Which is kind of interesting, because even though she was timid and, I guess, like scaredy cat when they were younger, she was the one who got him into dancing. But now when they're older, he's the one who has to lead everything. So it's kind of like how to take over there. I think that was really good. And that being said, though, it's true, though. And I will give Gaju that, though. She's way shorter than him. And it's quite tall, it's entangled on, right? It's quite explosive. So that's the problem. It really is. I haven't danced that much in my life. Like, I have danced, and I've gone to dance classes a little bit and so on. And done some performance. But I mentioned that I did some dance performance, right? When I was in high school, so I was in the dance aesthetic program and so on. But that being said, I do a lot of martial art primarily. And I actually had a partner at Hyodous, because I tried to be a ninja, right? And I trained Hyodous for 5-6 years. And the guy I trained the most with, unfortunately quit after 2 years or 3 years, and he returned like 2 years later and so on. So he was really tall. Like, he was insanely tall. And he was Swedish, he was huge, had a gigantic frame. And I mean, I am pretty tall. But he was like 7 feet. He was 6.9 something feet, so 2.11 meters. He was ridiculously tall, and I am like 6 feet, right? So there's like 1 more feet than me, and I'm pretty tall. I'm like 6.1 feet, but anyway, yeah. So he was ridiculously tall, and that actually is complicated. So I'm again here. I'm comparing martial art to dancing, but really, that's my experience. Because I did like dance with him for 4 years in Taijutsu, and it's very, very tiresome sometimes. Because he's like, he's like up here on me, like a head taller than me. So most of the moves, you have to really angle them, all the shoulder breaks, everything that. It is way, way harder to set them on him. Yeah, it's complicated. And for him, it's also kind of harder because you're shorter, so he has to like bend down a bit in some moves and so on. Depending on what ability you're going to use, it really is much harder to utilize it. And of course, some other ones are really easy. So, for example, I think it was something here. That was one of the bamboo split techniques. When you go under someone, you take someone's arm and go under it, and you like go into their arm. Sitting here, yeah. That one is really easy if he's taller than you, especially if he's way taller than you, because you can easily go. You can like stand up, because if you are the same height as someone, they have to bend down and go into the body kind of. But I can use like stand up straight and do that with him. So so that gives me even faster, right? So I can do it really quickly. Actually, it's more straight, of course, if you bend down anyway. But I was that mean I can do both there, and it's really. And actually, also, it's harder for him because if I get him into that position, it takes a lot more tool in his body because he's at the angle of his arm like really much instead of like slightly, so he actually gets more pain too. So it's some techniques are way better if someone's like a feet taller than you, but most are hard to use. And I didn't mind that as a martial artist in a dojo. I don't mind it that much. It's kind of annoying to having to, you don't train him all the time, but it's more for him maybe like half to an hour at least every week, probably more. And it's a little bad because you get used to use the technique and someone's taller than you. And I am taller than average. Like I am still taller than average, right, in my home country, in Sweden. And Sweden's pretty tall, right? But he's pretty tall. So, I'm used to the technique, which is actually probably bad to learn in that sense, because most people I would ever encounter would be shorter than me, or at least around my height. But that being said, most techniques are hard to utilize against him. So, the fact that is still that I have to train more, I have to master practice more, so I don't mind it. I know it's much like a long tangent here, but the point of course is that goes for that thing as well, right? So I mean, it is definitely a true thing though, for Gaju and Mako, she's very, very short. So, in that sense, I mean, if you're dancing competitionally wise, actually sparring, and I mean, emotional is more like you want to overcome the obstacle, but you want to dance, you want to be at the same level. So this is troublesome. This is really troublesome. So I give him that though. I have to give him that because I mean, we see. I mean, she's super cute in this flashback, super cute, and she getting into that very interesting story. I like the whole thing, but you also see that she's super short. She's short, of course, when they're old as well. But when they're like 10 or 8, whatever they are, like maybe younger, 6 or 7, yeah, they're really young, I think. But she is, she's only 5. Sorry, yeah, she's only 5 actually, yeah. But still, she seems to be like 2 heads shorter than her at 5, right? So he has to like this in a way, that's right. Because he's like way, way taller than her, even at that age. It's very noticeable. So that probably puts a toll on his body. I would imagine. So yeah. So that is still important though, I think, for the whole storyline. Why he's fascinated and so on, I think that is still there. Sorry for the long discussion there, but hey, I don't know, I just like some martial art. There should be some martial art. Yeah, I should do reviews like history, against kinesics, example kinesics and that. I wish there were a good martial art and Mike talk about it, like, that's a good technique, because of this reason. No, but the episode was, I'll report on the episode, I like that episode, was the whole rivalry, right? And there's an interesting Shizuka there, that she doesn't kind of want to be friends and partners with Hyodous. It's more like she wants to fight Hyodous. She's like, it's good when he doesn't like me, when we're rivals. That's what she want to be, which is understandable, because what it really means is that she wants to be acknowledged by Hyodous, right? She wants to be the person that Hyodous sees as her the equal. And that reminds me actually of Berserk. If you ever read Berserk, and spoilers here, but this is super old, and Berserk is like one chapter per year, right? So this is like 20 years old story on Berserker. But in Berserker, this is huge thing there with Gus and Griffith. The Griffith is like, yo, I don't like you. And like, I can't remember it, paraphrasing it now, but it basically is that he sees Gus as a tool, not a friend, right? Because he's not strong enough, and then Gus like beats him and so on. And then it's like, yeah, but no, I'm better than you, or like if I can defeat you in one-on-one combat, you have to respect me, and then he does that pretty much, and then he kind of leaves him. He's like, whatever, yeah, but if you don't see me as a friend, I don't want to be with you as a tool either, and that's kind of the disparity. So for spoilers, but it's kind of like that's an interesting aspect, and I felt very similar to that. That's what I was thinking about when I was watching it. I was like, man, it's gonna be a Berserker vibe in a good sense, but I mean, not that horrible Berserker, but still like, yeah, it's a lot about this like you rather or not hated, but like disliked / jealousy, envy of someone in a way more than just being your friends, because sometimes if you're friends with someone, it's actually that's both a good thing actually. Talking about it's true friendship, like it's a true friendship if you don't have not necessarily a rivalry, but if you don't like are afraid of the other person in some kind of weird sense. In their world, it was just like you kill each other, but in this sense that if you cannot beat me in dancing, you're not worthy of being my friend, right? It's kind of like that sense. So I think that was a really good point. Why she's very frustrated with Tatara. I think it was a very good point episode actually. How she is like, man, you fire people up, right? Because she's like, I used to be Hyodous' rival, and I love that. Hyodous is the best dancer ever, and he acknowledged me, means that I am his equal, so I am also a great dancer. I'm the best female dancer, he's the best male dancer, we're awesome. But then you see how she is like, but then now he actually like has a rivalry with you. You suddenly arrive here, Frita-kun, she says, and now Frita-kun, you're his rival. So you took my equality, yeah, like you removed my value of being equal to Hyodous. Now I'm like, now I'm lower than you, yeah. And that's the whole thing there she meant with the knee, right? She was like, as a knee was injured, and a weird sense telling him that, oh, Hyodous surpassed me, went away from being a rival and equal them to me, hurt his knee. But what she meant, I would say, is she meant that, okay, he hurt his knee trying to show off to this new kid, right? And that means he doesn't care about me anymore. It's more about that kid. That means I'm less equal. So I think that was a very good pointer, actually. And definitely gives a lot of Berserker vibes. Yeah, it gets me a lot of Berserker. Otherwise, the episode, the whole dancing part wasn't that strong part of this episode, I would say. I liked the whole quick step starting there. But the other dances weren't that interesting. They weren't doing anything special. I will say though, the Gaju part was great though. The Gaju part was really good. When he started crying afterwards, but especially then during the dance, and he seemed like thinking about his sister, right? And that's kind of the flashback. It's kind of like him remembering his sister, forcing him to dancing, and he's doing it for her sake and so on, right? Because he loves her, and he's like start thinking about sister, and then he starts forgetting about his actual current partner. It's like, yeah, and that makes a good sense, because if he didn't have his sister for 10 years, right? So he has muscle memory skills how that's his sister, and when he stopped dancing with Shizuka, it's like, oh, yeah, she's taller, back then taller and length thing, taller and height thing. He's like, oh shit, she's much taller than my sister. What was our routine? And it's going back to his like early routine after his meet Mako, and then they don't really work because used to being he has to bend down a lot more, so like he can stand upright, and you get the kind of weird height and down and angles, and yeah, so I like that part a lot actually, like how affected he was from seeing her happy, and also of course him being a lot of maybe jealousy, Tatara, but mainly I would say guilt, right? Yeah, so guilt. It's like shit. My sister's actually really good, and I forgot about how much I loved her as a kid, and I was here. She's happy again, and she's happy in years. And I didn't do it. It's this new random dude making her happy, and so on, right? And so thinking about that, and yeah, so that was really good. And and when he's shortly crying there, Sengoku-san always being the best character on the sideline. It's like, oh, lame! that was good too. So Sengoku-san is appearing, oh, lame loser, think or something. And I love the whole part of Sengoku-san. He's like, yeah, do the dance thing. He's like, it's doing the baseball thing there. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna give a symbol to you how to do dance thing. Like, he said yes. It's like, you got that from him? It's like, oh yeah. So that was good as well. But yeah, Sengoku-san is always like really good, funny side character. You know, the more you watch the anime, you're more like, I want to see a Sengoku spin-off. He's just the main character. It's just focus on Sengoku. But now the quick step thing. What thing we have next episode? I really win or not? Because it was interesting there. I really liked that. It actually got more attention from me as a viewer there, as you're watching a real sport, and you're like, who's gonna win? Yeah, because I would say they clearly won the single then. Mako, even if Tatara was like gone and invincible, yeah, Gaju screwed up a lot, right? So they definitely did win, I think, the single battle, for sure not. And then they do this other thing, and they clearly beat them in the slow foxtrot. And everyone was amazed. Tatara sees it. So I feel it a little afterward, but so we have the last quick step, of course. And so far, we still do this, I guess, illegal move when they release their hands to go around them. It was really awesome. I was like, wow, can you do that? And so it was like, no, you can't. So they seem to be in the lead currently. I don't think this qualify for that thing. It's kind of it's an amateur cup, right? So probably I'm not gonna care about the small rule breaking things. So yeah, they might still win. I kind of hope they don't win, because it kind of feels like I'm a big fan of main characters who's entering their new sport is found after not doing it for years, being underdog, suddenly beating everyone. It doesn't really work for me. It's fine if it's like a Soma, where actually the main character isn't an underdog. Kinda is, but at the same time, it's like he's doing cooking for 10 years before he entered there. So actually he's a master chef before he entered. He just has the percentage of underdog, and he actually really good, and also to be abusive about it. Look at me, I'm the best. And then he gets a better effect of it. For example, if Yoshi Budaf is a good example of that, where I think it's really well done, where the main character enters the boxing club, he is extremely talented and beats all the noobs, right? And I think that's fine. So the main character has to have some kind of skills. He's a great climber, and he beats all these like random guys, the one you're in the club as well, who have been for like a year or so. He defeats them easily, but pretty much does. And that feels like, yeah, he's really overpowered. But then of course the other characters that has been doing it for 10 years, 20 years, whatever, they can beat him easily. Yeah, they're still much better than him in the beginning. So I think that's fine. Like the real experience, the real like his teammates later on that are in his kind of wheelhouse, they also have their own talents. They can beat him. They do it very easily in the beginning. However, though, there's other guys that are actually doing it for a few years more than him, still loses because he's the talented main character, and that is fine. So Tatara entering this thing, I would like to see the same thing here in episode. He enters here and he can beat these other like random nobodies that they have in the backstories and like they're whatever, there's the junior amateur guys. Beating them, that is completely fine to me. Because he's the main character. Right? The main character has some talent. He has to have hard work and like talent and something else, so plot armor, whatever. He needs to have something like that, that's not really interesting. So that's completely fine. But I hope he doesn't beat Gaju and Shizuka, because it's kind of lame if you can beat them so easily. That being said, though, when they were failing their dance, I was like, man, yeah, them failing is a fine way to win. If the opponent that should be better is actually lowered by plot, I suppose, but that's fine, that's logical. But that's just their single thing, and they didn't fail the other 3 dances. So now I'm actually hoping that, I'm hoping that Tatara and Mako get second place, even though they are quick-step, their speciality. Because otherwise, I think it's a little too overpowered. Just entering these things, crushing everyone, is kind of the feeling for it. So hoping they get second place, or something like that. Unless the other guys screw up again. But yeah, one last point I want to say, you probably can't, I haven't shut up, sorry, but you probably can't do this thing when you use your hands. Generally, because even though you got your own hands so on, it's probably a danger, right? If you split up your partner, you can run into someone else, try to do some cool moves on the side like that. There's probably a higher chance of hitting someone or running into someone else. That's probably why it's illegal to do that. No, you need to avoid the other couple, but it still probably is illegal, even if you do it. They kind of did it as a plan to, not as a reaction. They kind of went against them and did that thing, right? So that's probably that's why it's illegal. I mean, I'm just my guess on it at least. Anyway, see you guys next week and have a great day.